Praise the Lord, brothers and sisters. Thank you guys for joining us again. This is my lovely wife, Rachel. I'm Peter, for you guys that don't know. The purpose of this video is for you guys to see my wife's point of view and how the Lord has transformed me. She's going to give you guys a glimpse of how I was in the past before Christ and how I am now with Christ, and how Christ has brought our family together. So what we want to do with this is we want to help anyone out there that has an abusive husband, that has an abusive wife, who has kids that they can't seem to get along with, where there's dysfunction in the family. We want you guys to see this point of view, because this was our life. For about 10 years, me and my wife were at each other's neck. We couldn't really stand each other, to tell you the truth. We at some points hated each other, and most of the time we stayed together because of the children. And even then it was just toxic, a toxic environment. And I'm gonna let my wife share a lot of that with you guys. I'll let her take over.
Thank you so much for letting me back on, you guys. I'm so blessed and just humbled that my Lord has given my husband this platform, that he has this way to reach people, because I would have loved to have heard a video like this when I was in the depths of my despair. I would have loved to have been encouraged in this way. So I just wanted to let you guys know the things I'm about to share, they are kind of difficult to relive, because I feel like that was a different life. I feel like my life began when I started following Christ. And I want you guys to know I'm not highlighting and putting a magnifying glass on just, oh, look how bad my husband was, because he is a new person now. In 2 Corinthians 5:17, and I'm saying the NLT version, it says, if anyone belongs to Christ, that person has become a new creation. The old life is gone, the new life has begun. And this is a new creation. This guy right here is not the same person that I'm about to let you guys in on. He's patient with me, he is forgiving, he is loving, he is a good example in this household. So by no way is this just, oh, I'm just gonna put my husband on blast right now, because it's not that purpose. I just want you guys to see from a woman's perspective, from a wife's perspective, and my children will share their perspective as well, that if God can change him, and you guys hear the kind of way that he would talk, you guys hear him do videos pretty often, and he sounds like a godly man, and he is. But I just want you guys to know where he came from, and to know that there is hope, and to know that you don't have to be in that situation that you're in. If you're a wife, if you're a daughter, if you're a cousin, an aunt, a child, anyone who's going through an abusive situation, a dark situation, a hopeless situation, if you're depressed, just know there's hope. There is hope, and there's a reason why I'm so joyful now all the time. And people think sometimes when I talk about Jesus, family members are like, they make a weird face at me like, man, I'll just start, singing or just so happy. But there's a reason, you guys. Jesus, he has set me free. If you knew what you're about to have a glimpse of, if you knew the pain that I went through, the depression, the hopelessness, the despair, you guys would understand why I'm so joyful, why I have a reason to sing now. Praise you, Jesus. Man, I'm just so happy, you guys. So
guys, the Lord has become the glue in this household,
yes,
guys.
Amen.
He and it's important to know that he did not only change my life, he did not only make me a new creation, but he changed my wife's life too. Like I said in other videos, she always seemed like the bubbly, nice type, but inside she was in torment, and she was in depression, and a lot of different sins, a lot of darkness that was inside of her. A lot of it had to do with me because of the way I was to her, but a lot of it was things that she let in from her youth.
Sin.
And
Sin.
The Lord has transformed my life and her life, and now my son's life, and I'm faithful in knowing that my daughter will come around and she will proclaim Jesus as her Lord and Savior too.
Amen.
And he has become the glue in our family. He can become the glue in your guys' family, no matter what situation you're going through. Because like I said, me and my wife, were at each other's necks for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I really, even after 10 years of being together in the beginning, I didn't see us sticking together. We were getting older, but I still had in the back of my mind basically just cutting ties at one point or another, and I'm sure she did too. And it just, God had a different plan for our lives.
Praise God.
And, you know, good thing is, like I told a sister in Christ recently, and we see through the hole of a key. We see through a small hole, but the Lord has the bigger view. He sees from above. He sees the whole picture. You know, and although we wanted to separate and we wanted all these things, God had a different plan for our lives, and here we are. You know, so we can be, our lives can be a testimony and help you guys.
Praise God. All right, guys. So we will start in the beginning of our relationship. We met when we were pretty young. I was 18 and he was 19 at the time. And we met at a, do you want me to say where we met?
We met at a drive-thru.
Well, we met like at a restaurant. My friend and I were there. And right from the beginning, you guys, it was toxic from the start. It was toxic. If you guys ever read a label that says something's toxic, it means it's not good for you. It means it's poisonous and it's harmful to you. And that was our relationship. It was not good for us. It was poison to our souls. And just from the beginning, like just for the first couple times that we hung out, the first time that we hung out, like after we had met, me and my friend went to go meet him and his friends. And there was a dead body, you guys. Like, that's horrific. There was a dead body that had just, I don't know if the poor soul had gotten shot or what, but I remember it was like right in front of their apartment complex, and I remember we were about to pull in, and I said, "What is that?" And then as we drove closer, it was a person, and they were bleeding. There was a pool of blood, and they were dead, and that traumatized me. I grew up in a part of town that was like nicer, and you know, he was kind of in the more ghetto, for lack of better words.
If anybody's familiar with the valley over here, Arizona, she grew up in Chandler.
In Chandler, yeah. So it's nicer. Like, there's the crime rate's a lot less. He was in Phoenix, in downtown Phoenix, and so there was just a lot of spiritual stuff going on, and there still is in that city. Every time to this day, I get a bad feeling when I go. But anyways, point is, I had never seen anything like that. I've never seen a dead body, so that traumatized me. I was like overcome with I was just disturbed and overcome with fear. And that right away, I remember I even looked at my friend. I said, "Is this a sign? Should we turn around? Like, is this really the kind of place we should be right now?" And I should have turned around, but you know, God had greater plans and pulled us through that. But that was the first, you know, time. And then we hung out a second time. The second time we hung out, I started hearing the helicopters, you know, in the sky really close, and I started hearing a lot of commotion. And it turns out it was a SWAT team, and the SWAT team was banging on people's apartments, and they were looking for whoever, I don't know, but it was just a lot of chaos. And for some reason, you know, I still stuck around despite how I was like kind of scared, you know, being around him, but I liked him, and so I kept seeing him. But I just wanted to give you just an idea of like the environment that he was around, the kind of person that he was, the kind of people he hung out with.
She also got shot at the first week of hanging out with me. They tried to shoot at us, but she was in the crossfire.
There. Yeah. So even then, even though I was making these decisions, God still had his hand over me. And I know you guys have heard his testimony, how many times God has had his hand over him. But so God was always there in the midst of everything, even then. But despite that, it still wasn't a good situation. And it was just, the whole presence of that apartment was not a good, it was like a heavy, dark, like vibe. I just felt like there was so much darkness. So
there was, guys. I was living in that apartment with just nothing but guys, and nothing but friends would come over, and I would literally get my check and spend $500 to $700 worth of drugs and alcohol every single week. And that was just my part. You know, the rest of the guys contributed, and it was just sins after sins in that place. So it was.
And so sin is a doorway to all those spiritual things. Sin can let in those demonic things, those demonic influences in your life. And I didn't know that, but I just knew, man, every time I went over here, it just was a dark presence. So that was an indication of the spiritual stuff that was going on. And then another time I hung out with them, and his cousin had a shotgun, almost shot me, ended up shooting a hole in the floor. Like, I hope you guys get an idea of the kind of just environment this was. And I was being around this because I liked him, and it was just very just demonic and chaotic. So then getting into our relationship, he had let all this sin. He was doing drugs. He was doing all these things. And so that was affecting him. And he was very just aggressive, very had a lot of anger issues. Every time, like, I would say that, we were going to break up, he would, threaten to kill himself, or he would just go crazy. And just a lot of times, like on the phone, I remember being on a walk with my mom, and he called me and he asked me where I was, and he started just cussing me out. He started calling me the B word, stupid ASS. And I don't want to just list off these things like it's no big deal, like I'm listing off a grocery list, because you guys, every word that he would say to me, man, it hurt so bad. It cut so deep, clear out all the way until I gave my life to Christ and he set me free. But, it was like every time he would say something to me, it would like chip away at my soul. It would like chip away at the person that I was. That's the best I could describe it. It was like poison coming out of his mouth, and it was just getting on me. So he would call me these horrible names all the time, and my mom could hear, and my mom would say, Mija, why are you with him? Why are you still with him? You don't deserve that. And nobody deserves to be treated like that. But it was just something that I
was just gonna add, I was very unstable. In those times, we had weapons in our place. I was always getting drugged up, and a lot of times it would just, there were uppers that would get me all just crazy, especially when you would come down off of them, and unfortunately I took it out on her a lot of the times, and it would make me paranoid, and I would take it out on her. And that's no excuse, because like I said in my testimony videos, I let certain spirits into my life at a young age either way. But you add drugs and a toxic environment to the mix, gangs and all these things, and fighting, and it just makes it even worse.
Yeah. And I didn't know, like, I knew he had done drugs, but I didn't know like this was a every weekend, or I don't know how often he did it. But now it makes sense why he was so he was just filled with such evil and darkness. And I just would blame myself. Well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. But no, it was just that evil sin that he was letting in his life. And those demons were just coming out, and affecting everyone else around him in his relationships. So as time progressed in our relationship, I eventually moved in with him, which he gave me an ultimatum, and he said, okay, you either move in with me or we're done. And so I didn't want to like lose him, because I still grew to love him. So I moved in with him, and the neighbors we had at the time, it was an elderly man, and he had a daughter that was maybe she was in her 30s. She would like take care of him. But that apartment was just basically all that chaos, all that evil that he was projecting onto me was now confined into this little apartment. And he would cuss at me, he would throw things, he would punch holes in the wall, kick holes in the wall, throw things, knock the table over. He was so just evil, and I was just in this, and I didn't know how to get out, and I became pregnant eventually.
And whoever's watching this, don't just blame her for not leaving in those situations, guys. There's a lot of girls that are how she was back then, and unfortunately there's a lot of guys that are how I was back then. I knew how to play her at that time. I knew how to play her where I would keep her on the hook, and just enough where I can act a fool and flip out and break things and wreck things, and as soon as she would want to leave me, I knew how to how to play the part, pretty much. And there's a lot of guys out there, and I hope they watch this, and because it's not good. It's not good to be like that.
No.
And you girls, it's not good to be in a relationship like that either.
No, it's not, guys.
Or vice versa. You might be the woman beating the guy.
It could be, yeah. You don't know. There's all kinds of different scenarios that could happen because it's all a spiritual thing anyways. And the spirits they don't care whether girl, guy, kid, even, whatever. Grandma, doesn't matter. The spirit just wants to just destroy your life. And that's what the devil wants, to destroy your life, to just cause discord and all kinds of just evil. This is all stems from just evilness, guys. So I eventually became pregnant with my son, and the neighbors knew I was pregnant because I would talk to the daughter a lot, and things just got worse. I thought, okay, now that I'm pregnant, he'll kind of cool out. He'll kind of like treat me, nicely. But no, he didn't. It just intensified even more. So one day when he was at work and I was there at the apartment, they both came and knocked at the door, and they said, "Can we talk to you for a little bit?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. What's going on?" And they said, we can hear everything. We can hear every word he tells you. We can hear your screams. We can hear your cries. And this is not good for you. And now that you're pregnant, you need to get out of this situation. You need to get out of this relationship because you have another life inside of you now. And it's not good for a pregnant person to be under stress. You have to be kind of mellowed out and just like, have a peaceful pregnancy because it affects the baby. And I didn't see it then. I would just make excuses for it, thinking it's not that bad, but it was. It's so bad that the neighbors had to come and intervene. They didn't know me that well. They weren't family, but they were just trying to help out. Like how sad that, even that didn't give me a wake-up call. So I just kind of said, okay, thank you. I'll think about what you said, and that was it. But even to this day, man, I look back, and they were right. When you're pregnant, and I tell anyone who's pregnant now, I told my my nephew's wife that when she was pregnant, I told her to make sure that she would have a peaceful pregnancy, not to stress out, not to worry, because it does affect the baby. And I'll get into that in a little bit about what happened because of that. But as things progressed, it just got worse and worse. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything, you guys. I just want to say that everything that I'm saying, I'm trying to sum up into like the highlights, so to speak. But this was, just keep in the back of your mind, this was 10, 11, 12 years of an everyday battle, okay? So this is just a sliver of what I'm sharing with you. So just... And
me, myself, guys, I want to point out that my dad was a very angry person. Yeah. Growing up, I saw my dad just flip out and just be angry all the time. And even as an adult, when I worked for him as an adult, I still saw, he still does now every once in a while. Thank God he has calmed down quite a bit, but he still has his anger moments. But he was so bad that my dad, at points, he would even foam out of the mouth.
Whoa. Wow.
And these are things that I saw that also kind of engraved in me, and when people would see me get angry, whether it be at work, because I was that type of person. I didn't care what job it was. I didn't care if you were the owner of the company. If you rubbed me the wrong way, I would flip out on you. I would cuss you out, and I would want to fight you. That was just the type of person I was. And at least I thought that I was the type of person I was, but I didn't know those spiritual strongholds in my life. But so that was how I would act, with anybody. I didn't care who you were. And same with her. Like she was pregnant with my child, and I just didn't care. I had an attitude: if you disrespect me in any way, then you're gonna hear it from me. And growing up, as I got older and up to the point where I gave my life to the Lord, everybody always kind of brushed it off as saying he's just like his dad. And they made it seem like that was, I'm just like my dad. That's why I'm the way I was. But it wasn't. It's because these spirits were holding on to me. The spirit of anger, the spirit of all kinds of things inside of me. And I'm just going to say one thing. After I gave my life to the Lord, one guy pointed out, he said, "You sure he's your dad?" And he was working with us in the same crew. And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Because you're nothing like him." And that was the first time my eyes got open to the whole thought of everybody always saying you're just like your dad, and this guy and his dad told me I was nothing like mine, and I was like, wow, like the Lord has transformed my life like so much that these guys, my coworkers, think that he's not even my real dad. Sorry.
No, that's so true. The ones who used to say you're just like your dad, now they say, who the heck is this? Are you sure he's your dad? So that's so cool. But back to our relationship. So, there'd be times that we would go like on family trips, and he would come with me, and he would even, going back to the part that he said he didn't care who you were. So many times he'd go to my parents' house, or we'd go on trips. And I remember one time my poor mom, it was her birthday, and we were playing Monopoly, which I know a lot of people say Monopoly is like...
Don't play Monopoly.
Yeah. But, play Monopoly with him too, the way he was. Something happened, I don't even know what, but he ended up like throwing the money, the fake money at my mom on her birthday and cussing. I don't know if he cussed her out. I think he did.
It's so silly, guys. I mean, like I said, I didn't care who you were.
He didn't. He had no respect for anybody.
I had no respect. To me, I wanted to be respected, but I didn't show respect to anybody.
No.
And her mom, basically, were playing Monopoly, and she didn't want to sell me a property, and I got mad at her, and she finally, or vice versa, I sold her property. I wanted to sell her property, and she didn't want to hand over the money for the property. And we started arguing back and forth, and she threw the money at me, and I saw it. I saw it as disrespect, so I got up and I cussed her out. And and it was on her birthday. Like it's just so ridiculous. Over a dumb game. I like Monopoly, guys. By the way.
Yeah. But the way he was, and guys, it's not okay. Like, we're laughing about it now, but it wasn't funny. That was hurtful to my mom. That was hurtful to me and to those around us. Like, this was a everyday thing. He was a ticking time bomb. I used to walk on eggshells thinking, let me not say the wrong thing. Let me not do the wrong thing. Like, trying to just appease him all the time. It was awful. It was toxic. And my poor mom, shout out to you, Mom. I love you so much if you watch this. Cause she was there for me. She was like my best friend when I had nobody, and I would tell her, and she got the brunt of all the stress that I felt, and I was putting it on her because I would cry to her and tell her how awful he was, and it was just bad. So fast forward, I had my son, and he came out very, just like, he would tense up a lot, and he would get like this, like as a newborn, and nobody knew. We took him to the doctor, and nobody knew why. They were at a loss for words. They're like, well, he's healthy, but we don't know why he's like this. Come to find out, or now that I'm looking back, it was because of all that stress, and
it's almost like my son came out with anger problems.
Yeah,
and those anger problems stem from me just letting her have it, basically, even while she was pregnant. Up to 9 months pregnant. I would flip out on her and break windows. I broke the windshield of the car while she was driving the car. The front windshield, I just punched through it, and over a CD, over her not wanting to play my song.
Yeah, it was so bad. So my poor son came out like that, and we took him to specialists, and they didn't know what was going on. So as you can see, this is affecting, this demonic presence in his life and his heart is affecting every facet of my life, and now it's transferred onto my poor baby. And thank the Lord, as months went on, he kind of grew out of that, and he was okay, and he's healthy, and he's awesome now. I mean,
well, you guys seen him now. He's following the Lord.
Yeah, and they're healthy, but as they grew up, I had my daughter. So all this is still going on. I had my daughter a few years later, and I thought, okay, now that I have my son, now that I have a little girl, like, now this is gonna help him chill out. Not that I thought, okay, let me have a child with him so he can chill out. No, I mean, we had children, but I just had hopes. Like, my dream, even when I was little, was to have a husband that was a good husband and a good father. I wanted my kids to have a good dad, a good example, and that was always my prayer, and he just never was. He was awful to them. And my poor kids, I don't want to share too much of what they went through, because they have their own testimony or perspective that they're going to share. But they received a lot of that too, and they felt very unloved by their dad, and everything that I had felt before they came around, before my kids came into this world, they were feeling now, and they didn't have good sentiments towards him at all. And night after night, you know, I would feel like I had to be the mom and the dad. I would want to give my babies some sense of normal life, you know, and I didn't want to. Many times we would break up and I would go to my mom's and it would just be this back and forth thing. And my kids would get so excited. They'd be like, yes, like we were finally leaving him. Let's go. I don't care if I never see him again. But I didn't want a separated family. I didn't want a broken family. I'd had family members and friends that have been in broken families, and it just wasn't like, it wasn't good on them. And I don't think it was good, but so I didn't want a broken family, but honestly that probably would have been better for them at the time instead of having them witness all that they witnessed. So all this tension was building up. My poor kids were just hating their dad. I would go to the room, like he would come home and he would be like extremely rude, not loving, not caring. He would plop himself in front of the TV and he would be there physically but not be there at all interacting with my kids or me. And
guys, I would work like so much, guys. I would work all the time, and when I would come home, I wouldn't pay no mind to my wife, to my children. Like there's videos that my wife took on our laptop from the past before I gave my life to the Lord, where they're just recording, and all of a sudden I come home and I hear in the video the kids are saying, "Here comes our grumpy dad," and
our monster dada. And I come in and I don't even say hi to the kids. I don't say hi to my wife. It's like they're not even there. I don't care. I plop down on the couch and I start watching TV, which was an idol to me. Yeah. Sorry guys, we had to cut the video, so if it sounds a little weird, that's why. But yeah, he would be watching scary movies, bad movies, and he would just put himself in front of the TV and he would kick us out. He would his favorite saying to tell us would be, what would you say? Not skedaddle, but like get, or like...
I would tell him vamoose.
Vamoose, yeah, vamoose. And that would be our key. Okay, we got to go pretty much barricade ourselves in the room. And I would go with the kids because I didn't want them to be just trapped in the room. And that's so sad. And it breaks my heart to think about it now. See, but I would try to play with them.
The Lord then just set me and my wife free spiritually, but he set them free physically.
Yeah.
Also, my children were confined most of the time to a room because my wife would try to protect them from the things that I would watch, and I didn't care enough to not watch them, so I would still watch them, and they would have to go basically just hang out in the room.
Hours. I mean, movie after movie. It wouldn't just be one movie. It would be a movie after movie after movie after movie. And then I would take the kids outside and my son would be like, "Oh, Mama, I feel like so much better." Like it was a different presence. You'd walk into our apartment and it would feel like just dark, you know, just dark and evil. And we would go outside and it'd feel like the weight has been lifted off of us. And we would dread having to go back home because I would take him to the park and stuff. And even my mom, the times that she visited, very few times would she visit, but the few times that she did, she would say, you know, "Mija, man, I just feel like just like a dark presence, just like a heaviness, like a dark cloud over your apartment." And it makes me sad. Like I wanted to have visitors and I wanted my kids to be happy in their home. And that's why I would go to my parents a lot of times to try to give them like an escape, give them an outlet that they don't have to be home. But even when I go to my parents, my husband would call me, you know, "Where are you? Get your ASS home." And like, for what? And I'd always...
I was so bad that even though I didn't pay any mind to them,
he wanted us there.
I wanted them there. I don't know what reason. I can't even tell you guys what reasoning I had for wanting them because I didn't pay no attention to them.
Yeah.
But she's completely right in that. I mean, anytime she would go to her mom's, which was almost every day, we didn't live too far from her mom's house. But you know, it was an escape for the children. It was an escape for her. Yeah. But I would call her and blow her up and tell her she better come home right now or I'm going to go pick up the kids. And, you know, I would threaten her.
Yeah.
So it was just...
It was toxic, you guys. For my kids, for us, for everybody all the way around. Even my parents, they had to go through this. And people would wonder, like, we would break up sometimes. And I remember like my brother-in-law saying, well, why can't you guys just work it out? You know, what's wrong? Like, you guys can't work it out? And I'm
By
like,
the way,
no.
we would not just break up sometimes. We would break
All
up
the
like
time.
almost every week or every other week. Like it was.
But then he would call me, tell me, I'm going to change. I'm going to take anger management. I'm going to do this. And I would have hopes. Okay, maybe he's right. Maybe this time he learned his lesson. Maybe he will take anger management. But even that wouldn't have helped him because he had friends and people that he knew that took anger management, and they were the same people. So only Christ is our therapy. He is our physician. He is everything. He delivers people. He sets you free. Nobody else could ever have done this.
I didn't need anger management, guys. After all.
And
I needed Christ. That's what I needed.
Yep,
I need Christ in my life. We all need Christ in
Yes.
our lives. He went on that cross for us.
Yes. We all want to seek answers. We want to seek, something to fulfill us, but it's only Jesus, you guys. Only him can set us free and deliver us from that. And I used to want to go to my mom's and be at my mom's. My dream was to have a house right next to my mom's. Like, I just was always there because that was my escape. That was like I felt like there was some kind of normalcy there. I felt like my kids could see my dad was, nice and loving to them. I felt like they could see a good example from my dad and my mom.
And it's funny, as much as her mom hated me, we had a mutual hate towards each other.
Yeah.
And as much as her mom hated me back then, it's funny now she comes up here and she wants to spend time up here, and she sees being up here
as her escape,
where I'm at, the person that she used to hate, as her escape.
Yeah. Isn't that ironic? That's so funny.
That just goes as a testimony itself.
She was my escape.
For what Christ can do, guys. Because she hated me so much, she wanted nothing to do with me.
No.
But now she's okay with being here where I'm at all the time, for weeks at a time, for months at a time. And
she feels so peaceful to the point where she doesn't want to go back down to the valley. And so how awesome is that? That's just such a testimony in itself. So anyways, our relationship, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm sorry, guys. It's a lot, and I'm trying to just have you guys see the key moments. But so it got to the point where I was having anxiety attacks like every other night. I was having such anxiety. I would go to sleep and my pillow would be soaked, and I would pray, Lord Jesus, please just change him, please just change him. And I remember I felt like, I don't know if you guys have ever had an anxiety attack, but I would feel like my heart was about to just have a heart attack, and I felt like I couldn't breathe, and it was stemming from all that oppression that I was under through what I was going through with him. And I was trying to hold it in for my kids, and I was trying to put on this happy face for them, but I would break down at night. I mean, just completely just wail and cry to the Lord and wonder why he wouldn't change them. And I would wake him up at night like, help me, I feel like I'm gonna die. And he, instead of him waking up and saying, gosh, babe, are you okay? Like, just take deep breaths. He would wake up getting mad at me and cussing me out. And if you've ever had an anxiety attack, they tell you to try to calm, to try to focus on colors, on numbers, and just have like a peaceful, calm environment. But imagine feeling like you're gonna die, and then wanting somebody to help you, wanting your husband to help you, and instead he wakes up and he like cusses you out.
That's how bad these strongholds were in my life, guys. That I had no control even while I was sleeping, guys. While I was sleeping, like, there was a lot of times I would cuss her out, whether it be in Spanish or in English. I would just cuss her out anytime she would try to wake me up. And I 75% of the time, I didn't even know I didn't even realize I had cussed her out. But that's all these spirits and demons I had inside of me, guys. It's real, and it's things that you let in. You open these cracks to these things.
Yeah.
I mean, so much that there was times where my wife had suicidal thoughts, plenty of times.
Oh, man.
There was times where she would go in the restroom and I knew something was up, and I would find, after a while, I would go in there and I would find her with a razor blade, because she was in such torment and such, I was just so verbally abusive to her. I was crushing her spiritually. I wasn't beating her physically, but I was beating her inside. Her spirit, her soul. I was just wailing on her. And as soon as I would see that she was getting ready to leave me, I would just reel her back in, guys.
It was so hard. It was so hard. So like the ambulance would come over all the time because I would call them, because I really thought I was gonna die. I really thought that my life was gonna be over, that I was gonna have a heart attack. And man, so then as things got worse, it got to the point where, like he said, I didn't want to live anymore. And I remember the one night, like before I finally turned to God, not for what he could do for me, but because I wanted to know that God in the Bible that says that he does all these miracles. Like, I just knew in my heart he has to be real. For some reason, I can't attain it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm praying every night and he's not hearing me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not crying because, like, I'm crying. I've been set free, and I'm crying because looking back, knowing all that I went through, knowing, man, I just wish I could have known Jesus sooner. I wish I would have turned to him sooner, and I would have not had to go through this. But he gave me a testimony. I know there's a reason, and hopefully my pain and my testimony will help someone going through it. So
I want you guys to know, she just brought it up, guys. She would pray, the whole time we were together. She was raised Catholic, and so she had some mindset of Christ, and she would pray, guys. She would pray and constantly ask
every night
the Lord to change me. But which I'm gonna make a video about prayer. But her prayer was selfish, guys. Her prayer was selfish. She wanted me to change, but she didn't want anything to do with God personally.
No.
She just wanted the benefits of God. She wanted that God that did all those miracles to do a miracle to change her husband, but not to change her. Now, she had her own sins in her life, but she didn't care to change that. She just cared to change mine. And it wasn't until she finally realized, pretty much, forget my husband, Lord. I want you to change me because I want to know you. Yeah. That the Lord enter her life spiritually, give her a new spirit. She changed, and out of her obedience of taking that step for God, and she stopped being selfish in her prayers. Mm-hmm. The Lord changed me literally like 2-3 weeks later. And that's what we're doing a lot of times. We're just selfishly praying to change our spouses instead of change me, Lord, because I want to know you more.
Yeah, because I thought if God changed him, then that would solve my answers. Then I would have a peaceful life. My kids would have a peaceful life. I thought that was the answer. Like, just change him and then things will be good. And I thought God wasn't listening. God, why aren't you listening? And they would have altar calls at church because we would still go to church. And I would go and I would be on my knees crying like, Lord, please help me, take me out of this situation. Change him. And nothing ever happened. So I got to a real low point, real. I would call my friend and I would tell her, and I feel bad even saying this because it's so awful, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jodi Arias. She brutally killed, or was it her husband or boyfriend? I don't know. It was awful, but this is how bad I was. And I remember telling my friend, like, I feel like going Jodi Arias on him, and that's horrific. And even she was like shocked, like, whoa, calm down. But that's how I felt. I remember being in the kitchen and he would cuss me out, and I would have a knife in my hand, like making a food, and I would like stab the table, like I would make a dent in the table because I just held it in all the time, and it was just getting so bad. And I would hear voices in my head, just hurt him or just punch him in the middle of the night, like do these things. And that was just all demonic. And so my low point was one night I had these pills. I had pain pills, prescription pills. And I remember being on my knees, just crying, just clinging on to the rail of my bed saying, God, if you're real, Lord, if you're real, please help me, because I promise I'm going to take these pills. I don't want to live anymore. I want to take these pills and there's no reason to live anymore. Like, this is just living hell for me, Lord, and you're not helping me. And I remember I would attempt, do things. I would sometimes even leave, and I would drive, and I would feel like driving into something because I just didn't want to live anymore. And my poor babies, I had to leave them, at home with him. And they would, my son had like an iPad, so he would text me and he'd be like, Mommy, say, Mommy, where are you? Don't leave us here with Dada. But I needed an escape. I needed something. I needed some way, because if I stayed there, I was gonna fall apart, or I was gonna die. So I needed to sacrifice. Okay, do I stay here with my kids and put on a happy face, or do I go and get out of the situation? And I would go and pray in the car, sometimes crying to him, Lord, like, please help me. And do you remember when I would leave? Yeah. Sometimes like I just needed to get out of there and get air and just like cry out to him. And so finally one night after that one prayer that I contemplated taking those pills, I just started thinking, and I said, you know what? I've heard, God, that you've done miracles. I've heard that you've done awesome things in the Bible. I've even heard it from people like on YouTube. So you have to be real, Lord. So I want, you know, I'm tired of just thinking and putting my whole weight of my worth on Him. I wanted Him to make me happy. I wanted Him to notice me. I would get all dressed up and dolled up thinking, you know, just love me, just notice me, pay attention to me. And he wouldn't. He was still mean to me no matter what I did. Like, did not make any difference to Him. So I was tired of just seeking Him to make me happy. And I wanted Jesus for Jesus. Like He said, I wasn't no longer seeking God for what He could do for me, but I was seeking God because I wanted to know Him. Because every time I would hear about Him in church, or I would read about Him, because we would read once in a while, I was like, this guy Jesus seems so peaceful, seems so loving. Like something in my heart wants to yearn and like reach out for that God. So then the next day I happened to stumble across a YouTube video of her name is Sister Genevieve, and she was talking about just the miracles that God does. And she would go around street preaching and praying for people, and I would see miracles that God was allowing to work through her to reach other people. And I'm like, man, like she had such a fire, such a joy about her. And she was a single mom of 2 young girls, but like I was like, man, see, I want that. Whatever she has, that's what I want. And so that began my journey in saying, you know what, forget focusing on my problems. I'm going to focus and search with all my heart this Jesus that I want to know. And so I began to open the Bible and read, and that's when He started speaking to me, transforming me, giving me the desire to get baptized, and my life was never the same since then, you guys. So I just want to tell you guys, if you guys want to know that there is hope, if you guys look around this broken world and you see that it's so dark, there is hope, and His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. It's only Him. Only He set me free. Now I was depressed, going to sleep crying every night. Now the only time I cry is when I talk about the Lord, because He makes me emotional. He's given me such a testimony. And this little testimony I've shared is only a portion. I have a whole life testimony from childhood, you know, that maybe one day I'll share, but I just wanted you guys to see this. And if you're being abused, if you feel like you're hopeless, if your parents are abusing you, even if it's not an abusive thing, even if you just feel like you're depressed, even if you feel
because we want to point out also, guys, that there's couples, you know, that don't have Christ, and they seem to be, you know, not abusive to one another, and they're okay. But I mean, really look into your hearts, you know. I really truly believe that without Christ, you know, you will never have that inner peace. You know, there's a lot of rich people out there too that I think they have the greatest suicidal rate or something like that.
Yeah, they do.
Guys, our marriage was not just cracked; it was shattered. It was broken. It was tore up, guys. He glued us together, guys. He glued us together. I know you guys are gonna look at me like this awful person, guys. Yeah. You guys can look at me however you guys want. I really don't care, because I know, like I said on my other videos, that's my past. You know, the only reason we're looking at my past, or we're looking at our past, is to glorify Him.
Glory to Him.
You know what I mean? Yes. I don't care about how I was, because
He's not that person.
That was a person that was full of spirits, full of demons, that had chains on me. I'm set free, so I don't care how you may think of me after this video. You know, otherwise I wouldn't have done this. If I cared what people thought, I wouldn't have done this video.
You wouldn't have been a Christian.
I care more about what God thinks. Yeah. And I care more about pleasing God and glorifying Him in everything that I do. Yes. So this is to glorify God. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. The Lord Jesus has transformed us. So this guy, now to the good part, now this guy comes home like. And my husband's not a great singer, you know. I love him, but he's not. Either am I. But my point in saying this is, the greatest music to my ears is when I hear this man worshiping, because he knows he can't sing, but he sings with such desire, with such passion, because he loves God, because he knows the great things that God has done in our lives. And so, like, this guy, he worships. He comes and he reads. He leads our life, our family by example. And he's loving to me. Like, now, like, I can look, you know, first thing in the morning and say, oh, moms, you know, I love you so much. He calls me moms. You know, I love you so much. Where before I was like craving, like, just notice me. And now, like, he shows me love, and he has passion for God's work. Like, every time he goes anywhere, he always prays. When we go like down to the valley, his prayer is always, Lord, let this not just be just a trip. Let this not just be, you know, me doing a job or something for somebody. Let this be for you. Let everything I do, everything I say be for your good and your glory, Lord. Use me. And God does. And he delivers, and he gives us opportunities to share his love, to talk about him. And so, guys, this is a new creation. This is what being born again is. Being born again is when the Holy Spirit gives you birth. It's not just being baptized in water. It's when the Holy Spirit comes in you, cleans you out, and gives you birth. And that's only through surrender, and your whole adoration and desire is just to know Jesus. Not for what he could do for you, but for him, because he's worth knowing, you guys. Don't you want to know this?
That's why I say, guys, you'll know.
Goodness.
You'll know when the Spirit of the Lord has given you birth inside you guys. It won't be a question. Because either you're going to change inside like my wife did.
And my husband.
Or you're gonna change where everybody can see, like mine exterior.
Yep.
One way or another, the Holy Spirit is not gonna dwell inside you if you have the same.
No.
Jesus talks about it in the new wine and the old wineskin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good. The new wine is that new spirit, and he's not gonna go inside that old body where, you know, he wants that body transformed. He wants you changed before he can be inside of you. And whether it be inside, how she was hiding her sins or whatever, or whether it be me, that I was just basically ruthless.
Yeah.
He'll change you guys, and that's what being born again is, guys. And if that's not the case with you guys, if you guys have been going to church all your lives,
and you don't feel that,
and you don't see the fruits of change in your life, whether it be inside or outside, you guys need to seek out the Lord. You guys need to seek him out and have him change you, have him put his spirit inside of you guys, because it's life changing. It's been life changing for our family.
There's a reason why every shirt we have, like, it's about the Lord. We have face masks even that we wear, or that I wear sometimes, and it's like all about Jesus. It's because he gives you a passion. And if you're trying to seek him and you feel like it's a chore, if you're reading and you feel like it's a chore, if you see this and you're like, man, all Christians, they just want to read and pray and worship, but there's a reason, because we were created for that. And if you don't feel that, it's because you don't have God's Spirit, and that's okay, because he's still giving you time. So turn to him while you still can, so that he can put that fire in you, so that he could give you a testimony and transform your life, and not just seek worth in your husband, not just seek worth in your job, because all that stuff will fade away. Your job, your career, your achievements.
You lose your job, you can lose
money,
your husband, you can lose your wife.
Nothing's reliable in this life. Only Jesus is reliable. When this life fades away, Jesus will be the one standing firm. He is our hope. He is our salvation. We don't have fear of death anymore. We don't have fear of sickness, disease, because God's our protection. And there's testimony after testimony, little testimonies that we have almost weekly of how the Lord has worked, how the Lord has spoken to us, how he's answered prayers. And now my son is experiencing that. And he's like, man, I felt Jesus, mama. Like, it's just, you see this joy, this light in that person. And that's only through him. So guys, that was the point of this video, just to give you guys hope, just to let you know that you don't have to stay stuck in your situation. If you're going through a hard time, I implore you guys, seek out the Lord. Know that he is real. He's not fake, that nothing and no one could have given us this. Now I live miles and miles and miles away from my parents, that they were my sanctuary, they were my safe place, and now I'm at peace. Every day I feel at peace.
Because the Lord is your refuge.
Yes.
The Lord is shelter.
He is our refuge.
You know, he is. He gives us shade, guys. He covers us. Guys, I'm sorry this video is going to be extremely long. But, I mean,
hopefully it helped you guys, though.
We're not that young, so our life is kind of long. And we did sum it up. Is that right?
Yeah, sum it up.
We did sum it up. But, unfortunately, we still made it too long, guys.
Yeah.
So, I hope you guys watch the whole thing. And it's not over yet, guys. There's another part with my children. I hope you guys tune in, but we'll make that a whole other video. God bless you guys.
Yes, God bless you
guys.
I
hope you guys can hear, because we forgot to put the microphone on this camera.
Yeah.
I pray you guys can hear, otherwise we got to make another video.
Yeah, you guys, but if you want joy, if you feel like you're unsatisfied in life and you want satisfaction, and you feel like you're just living every day not knowing the point, and you want joy. You know, my daughter, sometimes she'll look at me, she'll see me, like, I'll be jumping up and down singing for the Lord, and she looks at me like, what is going on, Mama? And I tell her, you want this joy, Alina? You want this joy? It's Jesus. Give your life to him, and he will give you a reason to sing, to praise him. So turn to him, guys. Time is running out. Don't wait. Don't wait. He's calling you. God willing, this reaches somebody that you know, hey, I don't have to live in this situation. God bless you all, and thank you so much for letting me on your video. I love you guys.
It's our video, the Lord's video.
Yeah,
this is the Lord's channel. Same thing, guys. If you guys know somebody that this might help,
yeah,
you know, share this
it.
video with them.
Share it to them, please.
Comment, you know, let us know if this helped you guys or in any way, or helped anybody that you know.
Yeah.
You know, it always encourages me, encourages us, you know, because my wife, you know, she's by my side. She's the one that helps me make these videos, you know what I mean? She's the one that helps me edit and all this stuff. You know, it takes time, and
glory to Jesus. So all for his glory. Everything we do is for him. Everything we do is for him. They may see us as Jesus freak. Yes, I'm a Jesus freak and proud of it, because I will never be ashamed to represent the God, the person who set me free, who gave me life. Man, I just feel such a fire. I feel like I could go, you know, yell at the top of my lungs and scream his name. I just feel, I hope you guys can see this, can feel it, and know that it's genuine and sincere. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to us for this long
God bless you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and comment, guys, and give us a thumbs up if you guys like the video.
God bless you.